TJ the Wheel Deal coming at you live with Bill White and Dallas Matthew from Exploring Your Options or My Options. Your options or my options?
My options.
My options. How y'all doing?
Good.
Doing awesome, man. Doing awesome.
How do you do it, bro? We just had Thanksgiving and you still look slim and trim, dude. What do you do, bro? Like send it to me in the mail. I won't even ask any questions. Hopefully it's legal. And I'll just inject it into my body or eat it. Whatever I gotta do, bro. Whatever I gotta do.
Yeah, I lost like 20 pounds in the past 3 months, so it's been crazy.
And is that intentional or you just haven't been lifting weights? Because I know if you have like a real high metabolism, it's harder for you to keep weight on, right?
Yeah, it's been intentional. I think like over the past like year or two, I just been like researching like how many toxins and like different things that are sprayed all over our fruits and vegetables and different dyes and chemicals, and it really like motivated me to try to clean up the diet. And so once I started just looking at the back of all these ingredient labels, and it's like a whole paragraph of ingredients. It's most of them you don't even know how to pronounce them. It's like, yeah, I need to start eating better, and then it's kind of just go from there. As far as losing weight, it kind of just came off.
And do you like this new look? I mean, do you like the whole lean and mean look versus?
No, I'm too light right now. I've definitely not been this light in a while, so I'm starting my bulk phase, my clean bulk phase now. But I just wanted to get to a position of like being truly lean, like ripped. That way I could kind of add a little more weight than I wanted to, and then kind of like overshoot the goal. That way I can have a little bit of like margin there to help me out. So, but no, I'm not comfortable where I'm at now. It's definitely a little too light for me.
How tall are you?
I'm 6'1", but I
Wait,
cut
I mean,
down.
you look lean, dude. How much do you weigh?
I cut down from around like 195 to 175
Oh, that's
in
too.
about 3 months.
Yeah.
Just pretty much cut off most of the carbs, and then I increased cardio. So between those, it came off quickly. But I haven't been this light since high school, so I just wanted to get like real lean, and then that way I can kind of bulk up slowly without having to dirty bulk. Because I always used to dirty bulk,
Sure.
when you're pumping iron, man, you can have cheeseburgers and do whatever, just say screw it. But I'm like,
Yeah.
this time I'm really gonna take it slow, just add like a pound or two a month of weight, and that way I can just keep it lean at the same time.
Yeah. Very cool. How was your Thanksgiving, Bill? Everything good? I know you went to one of the Carolinas to visit Pops.
Yeah, I went to South Carolina outside of Greenville, and Dad put me to work the second I got out of the car. And he was waiting for me to get there. And then he actually got married on the weekend. He's been together with some lady for about 20 years. So it was about time. It was about 18 years overdue.
And how long ago did him and your mom not work out?
I was 14, so 41 now. Yeah, a while ago.
I got you. And did they both find their happily ever after, or how did that work?
Yeah, my mom's remarried. She's just retired. Her last day of work was last Friday, and she just built a house down here, so she's moving close to me. So she wants to spend time with her granddaughter.
Dude, that is super cool. Good for you guys.
Yeah.
Good for you. And you, Dallas, do you come from a mom and dad in the house, or do you come from a broken home, or how does that work?
My parents got divorced when I was real young, so I've always had two families, moving back and forth all the time.
It's kind of cool on the holidays, though, right? Because there's that extra set of gifts. I mean, just looking at the optimistic point of view versus the fact that your parents are no longer together.
Yeah, for sure.
My daughter, when she was alive, she was raised Messianic Jewish, and they do that whole 8 crazy nights thing or whatever, the gifts for like 8 nights. And I was like, so Isa, how do you like the whole Jewish thing? And she was like, "Well, Dad, it's kind of hard to complain about 8 gifts, you know." So she was just like all about all the presents, you know, like these little girls got life all figured out already. But I would go over. I even learned. I was like lit. I forgot what it's called, the menorah or something like that. They would have like this thing like Shabbat and stuff. It was real cool family time. But they would eat like weird bread, dude. I think it was called unleavened bread or something. I don't think it has yeast. So
Yeah.
it's like bread that doesn't really taste like bread, dude. No, just like what? It's like one of those fake hot dogs, like those veggie dogs. Like it looks like the real thing, but it ain't. So it's cool, man. I love holidays. We were sick on Thanksgiving, so we were just kind of like waiting to see what family member was going to bring over the turkey plate for us, and that's kind of how our Thanksgiving went. Watched the Cowboys, and that was cool. I think they ended up winning on Thanksgiving, if I remember.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, guys, I made a few moves in the portfolio, and these were not moves that I took lightly, if that makes sense. Like, I really thought these over, man. I really thought this move over. Specifically, the move that I'm talking about is TSO. So the largest cash secured put in my career was selling 2,500 TSL puts at $5.73. And I closed them out today. I gave 77 cents or $77 a contract on 201. And then I gave 83 cents on 22.98. That adds up to the 2,500 because there was another straggler over here at 80 cents. I don't even know how that happened. So that was all of the money that I gave back to free up 1.432 million bucks. So the question was why? Because it was a winning trade. Because if we look at where TSLL is, it's at 22.79. These were like a 0.04 delta. So there's like only a 4% chance that TSLL was going to go to these levels. So why would I surrender $205,000 in capital? That's essentially that's the riddle, right? That's the riddle. Like, why would I do that? Well, it's because TSLL is linked to Tesla, and Tesla happens to be my favorite company in the entire stock market, but it's still just linked to one company at the end of the day. And I had recently started selling some cash secured puts on this daily semiconductor Soxl, and it's got a 52-week low in the $21 range, 21.29. And I saw an opportunity to sell cash secured puts at 25 bucks. And I was just like, man, that is, it hasn't updated here for some reason. That is something that I really want to consider. Here we go. So I went ham with it, dude. I tied up 1.5 million and brought in a hefty chunk of change. It was 3 tranches because you can only do 200 contracts at a time on Robinhood when you're collecting more than $25 a contract. So you guys can see that I collected 131,000, 129,000, and 129,000 again. So if you take that money and subtract it from the money that I paid back on TSLL, that's how we get to the title of the stream, which is 182,791 reasons why I closed out TSLL and opened up backstop trades on Soxl. Went from 1.432 in collateral to 1.5 because Soxl is 30 semiconductor companies versus just one. So I'm betting on like an entire sector. And I just looked at what all the big companies were doing, you know, like with Intel, like they have like a 2 to 3 year turnaround. Maybe it might take longer, right, for them to get the boat going in the right direction. I felt like NVIDIA is not going anywhere. I think that they have another year, 2 or 3 of just record after record that they're breaking, you know, on the books. So this ETF is going to be a direct beneficiary of that. And then I also thought of I could do a lot with $180,000 selling short dated cash secured puts, or maybe buying the dip on something or whatever, to where I could like compound that money for the next 12, 13 months. And then now that 180 grand turns into maybe 220, 230 grand, if not more. So that was one justification. The other justification was I had these leaps that at some point I'm going to want to exercise middle of next year. And those leaps are PayPal. I've got not necessarily these $65 calls, but I've got these $50 calls over here. I want to exercise those. So that's $500,000 right there. And I want to exercise the Sofi 7 and 5. So that's another big chunk of money there. So I needed to make sure that the cash was really, really high so that I could handle $1 million, $1.5 million of share purchases down the road. So that was all of it that went into it. And I wanted to position just the portfolio just to be a little bit more cash heavy, because I think that the market is, this melt up is pretty serious. So I wanted to position myself to play to my strengths, which is to sell cash secured puts in a nutshell. So I was like, well, let me go raise another 180,000 in cash. And I feel like Soxl at 25, even if it goes to 20, I can manage it. And that would actually be a blessing in disguise, because I could roll this damn thing and now it's on the books for the next 3 or 4 years potentially. Whereas with Tsll, I feel like I was going to be done unless I'm willing to go do this trade again, probably at 9, 10, or $11. And that's kind of out of my comfort zone with Tsll, because I've already been in it for a hot minute. And I see that the NAV erosion is super real. I'm sure that it's super real on Soxl too. I'm not oblivious to that fact as well. So anyway, on the surface, Bill, what do you think? If you had to grade that trade based on that soliloquy, what do you think? What do you think about my thoughts, and what are your thoughts, if any, that you can contribute?
If I had to give it a grade, A minus, B plus, A minus, that area. I totally see your point on wanting to be in multiple companies rather than one. I happened to be in the same exact trade, and I did the same thing, but not with Soxl. But with the concept of, I was up 55%. I still had over, about a year to go on the contract, and at that point, it's really just most of what the theta is at that point is just time decay, right? So it would have taken a long time for that to happen. So I wanted to speed it up. That's kind of the game that I play. It's get into big backstop trades, get up 40, 50, 60%, grow, get out of it, get more premium, and just keep doing it over and over again. So that's exactly the way that I play it. And just as far as Tesla running up, the risk is that you're up 55%, that it's going to drop to 40% if Tesla drops at all. I'm not saying it will, don't know, but if it drops at all, you're going to be in the trade even longer. Whereas Soxl is kind of, it's taken its lumps, so it's kind of a better time to get in. So I completely see the logic, and it's exactly what I'm doing.
What about you, Dallas? I know, and we didn't rehearse any of this stuff. This is all just me giving it to y'all right now. If you had to grade the trade, and if you could follow my logic a little bit, what input could you give, whether good or bad?
I mean, Tesla right here at these levels, it's definitely not a bad thing. Taking some off the table with that. I like the ETF. If we didn't have so many things going for us, just statistically, on the averages, when you look at the election years in December, if we didn't have that going for us, I would say, the thing is even though that's kind of pulled back a little bit, the overall markets haven't. So then if the overall markets pull back from, all-time highs, then obviously that's going to get, pulled back even more. But we have seasonality in our favor right now, so that may not hurt you at all. So if we didn't have seasonality on our favor, I would be a little more cautious on timing, but we do. So I can't say too much bad about it.
So I'm glad you brought that point up. One of the other reasons why I was willing to do the trade is because TSLL wasn't in a situation where I could add to it because I was so far up. So it's like, and then sometimes I look and this thing was down like 30, 40, 50,000 in a day. And I'm like, dude, I could have locked in that win and done something else. So it was starting to mess with my mind a little bit because it's like, yeah, you have that easy money, but you don't want the gains to go away either. You know what I mean? But Soxl is in a situation where I might be able to add another 400 contracts to this thing and bring another 260,000 to the door, and maybe even add some at like 23 or 22 if it really gets hit, and start kind of playing that game, if you will. Whereas TSLL wasn't going to give me another opportunity unless I was willing to sell some puts in the 10, 12, 13, whatever, just a higher range. And I'm not willing to sell cash secured puts on TSLL below $7.73. I'm just not able to do it. 25 is the strike price that I chose. Everybody keeps asking about your screen. I believe Dallas is not home today, so he has the virtual screens that StreamYard allows you to utilize. Like I have this one here where if I want to change, it's called a virtual background. So if I want to like change my living room all pretty, I could do, I could do that. So that that's kind of there you go. So like that's what Dallas is utilizing right now, guys. So anyway, so there you go. Yeah, I don't see my little plant that I stole from the living room because some of y'all made comments of like, why is it pointing to the corner? It's because I usually have my computer facing the other way, but then I can't see the TV because I'm too short because the computer's too big. So I put the computer out to the side and then it puts me over to the corner. So that's why I put the stupid little plant there. I stole it from the living room the other day, kind of hoping my wife wouldn't notice. But so anyway, that was it in a nutshell. Have you guys ever been in a situation where you feel like, man, the move's probably to do nothing, but at the end of the day, there is another game that we play called PPD, premium per day, keeping the same strike price. And if I can pull this move off successfully, well, I just added another $180,000 to the bottom line for the same time frame.
Yep.
So what's the thought process when you get into those predicaments? Because sometimes you're just perusing the portfolio and something kind of jumps out at the page, and that one kept jumping out to me because there's another one that's jumping out to me as well. And I'm like, but dude, like I might find myself at $3 million cash secured put on this Soxl. I'm not saying it's going to be all at 25. I may end up as low as 20 if pressure gets put on this thing. Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Oh yeah, I went through it back in March. Not talking about like cash secured puts, but trading kind of a known winner or like a winner you already have on the books for something new. And like it's emotionally so difficult, especially if you're going from something that's like a core position in the portfolio and you're starting something new. It's freaking stressful. When I sold all my Apple and my Google, which I got into Apple at like 130 kind of during the downturn, and Google I think around 110, 120. Sold all that to go into Bitcoin, and then I ended up selling all Bitcoin to go into altcoins like a month later. So I mean that was like, so it's so tough, and I'm doing it right now again. I'm considering selling all my Microsoft to go into crypto even more. Just what you have to do is look at like, okay, how much upside is there left in the position I already have, and most of the time you know that you're going into a new position in order to gain even greater upside. That's not the question. The question is, what's my risk of downside on the new position. So at that time, Bitcoin was at 67,000, and I said, you know what, my upside on my Apple was around like 200, and it was over 200. So at that time, I'm looking at Apple saying, okay, this will probably go up maybe 10 to 20% over the next several years. We have an opportunity where Bitcoin might double. And I looked at my downside and I saw Bitcoin not dropping below like 30K, right? It was at 65.
Right.
I figured as low as it would drop would be maybe 30 in some type of, black swan event or whatever. So my downside is 50% and my upside was like more than 100%. So to me, that was a good trade. And now I'm considering it with Microsoft again, because Microsoft's already a several trillion-dollar company. So what's my upside in the next several years versus I still think the stars have aligned for crypto in 2025. So it's just so hard taking that winner off the table and going into like the unknown in your new position. But I think it just comes down to like, your upside versus your downside. And also, will the rest of your portfolio kind of make up for any sloppy mistakes? If I'm wrong and crypto kind of goes down, the rest of my portfolio should help me out a good bit. So there's not too much correlation risk. It's not like I own a bunch of minor stocks and I'm saying I'm going to sell my Microsoft in order to buy Bitcoin, because that would doubly screw me. But I don't think Amazon's going to tank just because crypto does.
Agreed. Go ahead, Bill.
Do you feel we got spoiled this past year with just stocks that you did have high conviction in the price ranges that they were at and the opportunities that it gave us? Because I'm struggling now to find the backstop trades, and like you're doing Soxl, but I'm struggling to find one that I'm really willing to go balls deep into. Like, all year last year, I could do Sofi at $7. It would go up to 8 or 9. I would put it into something else, and then Sofi would go down, and I'd be back in the Sofi trade, and I could just keep collecting premium. Or at one point, Palantir was at $20, and I sold cash secured puts at 35. It was like so easy because I had such high conviction, but I can't do that now. So, I'm not going to do that with Palantir at $70 or something. So I don't know. I just felt like I was spoiled all year, and now I think it's also important to just be patient sometimes. So right now that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm making small moves. But I'm not going for the jugular per se. I'm kind of just waiting it out and waiting for the right time.
Yeah, and I think that I've been eyeballing this Soxl trade for almost 2 months, and I think what happened is the trade just like kept presenting itself, and I had 100 open cash secured puts at 27, so I had already locked in like 10 or 11,000 on the ticker, and so I had already gotten kind of comfortable with it. You know what I mean? At 27, and I was like, well, I was already pretty comfortable at 27. And I had started at like 32. Like if we look at the history, I could try to find the history here real quick. If we follow the history of Soxl, you guys can see that I've been practicing with this thing for a little while. I know we're talking about practice, but you can learn a little bit, if you practice. So I started farting around with this thing. And on September the 4th, I did 5 contracts at 28, had to feel it out, got 535, gave 85 back. Then I did 5 more contracts at 28, got 860, bought it back. So just real quick in and out. But then I was even comfortable doing 10 contracts at 33. And I did another 15 contracts at 33. And then I bought to close those. So I made another grand or two there. And then this is when I started getting a little heavier with the 100 contracts. I got the 10,700. Then I rolled. I got 8,500. Then I gave back the 9,400. So I locked in a pretty good amount of money there. And then this is how this happened. So it took me 2 months of being in
You
it
need to unlock your iPhone
and
first.
studying the stock. Stop listening to me, Siri. Stop listening to me, bitch. And this phone's crazy, bro. And so it took me 2 months, like just studying the ticker and trying to understand it and researching it, and like, what are those 30 companies that make up the SOXL? So I did those little Google searches, like what companies make up SOXL. And so you get that kind of information if you look, right? So I was just trying to really understand it, dude, because it's a three times leverage, so it's pretty massive. It's pretty massive. But I don't know, man. It's just one of those things. Like I feel like I was like sleep easy at night, and I was willing to go to like a little bit of sleep uneasy at night for that extra 180 grand, because I was like, well, what can I do with that 180 grand? Because there's something else that I'm considering doing in the portfolio that might not make a lot of sense to some of y'all, but I feel like it's going to make dollars and cents to me. And that is looking at this SoFi position that has just gotten pretty damn big because SoFi's run up quite a bit. And I'd already locked in some wins over here at the $10. And I'm considered just liquidating all of that. That's 395 grand. And then if I look at the 15s, here, because these were cash crop or, like a lottery leaps. If I look at the 15s, that's another 300 grand. So you're talking about 700 grand right there. How much more premium could I get on SOXL if I close these out, locked in the win, balanced the boat a little bit, because SoFi is getting very, very top heavy for me, and taking that money off the table right here, and then bring in another $250,000 on SOXL. If SOXL dips some, like if it gives me, instead of 130,000 for 200 contracts, if I get in the neighborhood of like 140, 150,000, it sure starts getting really, really appealing to trim some off of SoFi. Because with SoFi, I need something to happen to make more money on those 10s and 15s. I need SoFi to keep going up and to the right, which I feel like it will do, but it's not a for sure. Whereas with SOXL, it just kind of has to hold on. Like I can sputter to the finish line because time decays on my side, whereas on the long call, as we get closer to expiration, time's going to be working against me even more so. So again, I just felt like there were so many opportunities that I could create to add more to that position. If it goes against me, I could add more. Or if SoFi pumps to like 18 or 19, then I could take that money off the table, and I could put that money to work immediately, because now I got something that's really appealing. Whereas on TSLL, I had nothing it wasn't a position that I could add to.
Yeah, I think you're thinking of it the right way, especially for the lottery leaps, because you still have the leaps sitting there at like $7 or something like that. So
yeah,
you can
5 and 7, and I'll exercise those next June, July. That's 40,000 shares right there that are going to get added to the bottom line.
So you're taking some off of your SoFi position, but it's going to grow again anyway. But it's going to be growing at a $7 per share. That's pretty good. I don't know what your break even is, but it was probably close to 9 or 10. But
on what are you talking about on the $5 and $7?
Oh yeah, 5s too. I mean, yeah, you're sitting good. Yeah. I was talking about
break even on those is 820 on the 5s, and then on the 7s. And I'm going to exercise these. I had intention to exercise when I got them. On the 7s, my break even's 957. So those are both well in the money.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm with you. I mean, for the lottery leaps, I mean, what are you up on those as well? I mean, you must be up a pretty decent amount.
Yeah, and I trimmed before the last earnings report because I just thought that I had to, just mathematically. I didn't really want to, but I did. But dude, I'm up a lot. Like these $10 ones, think I'm up like 400 and some percent.
Yeah.
Yeah, 447%. And probably like 200 or 300% on the 15s. And then I'd sold these. I'd sold 500 of these contracts at 360. So I mean, if I'd have held on to those, my goodness, you know what I mean? But it is what it is. But I had a realized profit on these of quite a bit of money, and I can obviously realize more profits as well for locking that in, and then just kind of like, I don't know, man, I want to spread the risk around because here recently, like I just loaded up on Amazon. So that's now a 7-figure position. You guys can see that these 4 right here are all 7 figures. And I'm also about to add another 10,000 shares of PayPal towards the middle of next year because I'm going to exercise these $50 calls. And I may even consider exercising these $75 calls, but that's still like a year down the road. But like I'm up a lot on these $50 calls on PayPal, so I just need to make sure that I have the money. I'm up, almost $250,000 on those.
Yeah, I think you're thinking of it the right way. I mean, if you sell the leaps that you bought, your lottery leaps, and you get that money back, you can be selling cash secured puts, and that'll pay for your not lottery leaps, right? So like when you go to exercise those, when you want to get those shares, you can actually get them paid for with all the money that's just you're freeing up right now just by selling cash secured puts. So,
and I've been practicing, dude. Like if we look at this, like I've been doing the $1 million cash grab on Riot. This is the 2nd month.
We might get 100K Bitcoin live. Just saying.
What's that?
We might get 100K Bitcoin live.
How cool is that? So I got.
By the way, I want to play devil's advocate real quick because that's my job on the channel. I don't like this move. I don't like this move. I seen this just happen with XRP. When something has been coiled for so long.
Which one? Which move?
Whenever that coil gets unleashed, like I think the holders have like PTSD from the pain of the dips and the holding. But right now, I think SoFi, the trend is your friend until the end. And I don't think it's near the end right now. And you're basically trying to like cut off the top in order to try to catch a dip. And it's like, I would just hold, man. I mean, you've had this SoFi thing, like you've gone through the pain. And I just feel like those winners can run longer than we think. When they start to run.
I don't agree with anything that you're saying, but I mean, my goodness, dude, I'm already up. And then again, this is only about a 1/5 of the entire position. And I'm already up on this one, 1.3 just on the shares alone. And I've actually got manageable for once in my life, manageable cover call situations. I've got 400 of them at 18. So those are bringing in money. I've got now for 2026, that's where the pain is. I've got 500 cover calls at 15. And then I've got some more cover calls at 20 for January 2026. But I feel like even those are pretty manageable still, considering these are out of the money. So I think that I feel like there's just so much meat on the bone there, but I'm still qualified for a lot of it. So you don't think that it would make sense to take this money and go make easier money, which is cash secured puts, versus continuing to wait for SoFi to play out? Because I mean, if we look at the PE and the PS and all the PEG ratios and stuff on SoFi, I know that dividend driven investing and these other SoFi nerds would probably argue that SoFi is like severely undervalued, but dude, I have a hard time believing it's that undervalued at these prices now. Bill, you're a lot better with these types of things than I am, but are we really pounding the table that SoFi is like grossly undervalued at these levels?
It's not grossly undervalued. I mean, I'm not.
It's fairly valued. It's fairly valued now.
Yeah, about somewhere in there, right? I mean, in Dallas might be right. It might continue to run. I'm just thinking, how big that position is in your portfolio. And if you freed up that money now, went and sold some cash secured puts, and you plan on exercising the 5 and the 7 anyway, you can actually just get it done for free.
Right.
I don't know. It's just two different perspectives. He's probably right. I mean, he's been right about Bitcoin. I didn't do shit with Bitcoin, right? So I don't know. He's probably right, but I think it's at some point, especially as your portfolio gets bigger and bigger. I've found that risk management's just a bigger thing for me now than.
I'm dealing with it, dude. Like, there's another one, dude. I mean, y'all know that I gotten pretty cozy with Riot here recently, and I mean, I was gonna talk about this for a second, dude. But I've got, it'll tell you here, I think. Yeah, 1.3 million cash secured put collateral, all expiring on 12/20, and none of these are rolls. These are just, this is the way that it happened. So collected 20,000 and 29,000. So 49 grand, tying up $1,100 400 times, and that was like literally just a little less than a month. So that's like just a crazy return. And then I did the same thing on the 10s. I got or the 9s. I did 400 contracts of those, and that was from 11/14 to 12/20, so about a 35-36 day trade. I'm already at 85% on those, and you'll see it there. I got 8,600 and 8,400 respectively, because you got to do, again, 200's the maximum contracts when you're collecting over $25. And then I did the 10s. I did the 10s around the same time frame. I know the same expiration date, but I don't know the exact date that I sold them. So these were on 11/12. So apparently I started with these. And you guys can see there that I did 186 contracts, 200 contracts, 100 contracts. And then I guess there's somewhere along the way, there's 14 contracts. So I did these all on November 12th, 13th, 14th. And I'm up a lot on those, dude. Like, I'm up a lot of money on these. So I'm just like, if I had all of that SoFi money and I was just doing this with Riot, that's going to yield me more, unless SoFi goes all the way to like 20 or something.
I think that's a good. Can we do one of your? What do you normally you stop and you say this is the teaching segment?
Yeah, teaching segment.
So, I see everyone's posting Bitcoin 100K.
That's crazy.
It's great. A lot of I mean, Dallas. He's been talking about Bitcoin for a while. He's been and I didn't listen to him, but I'm not sure I would have changed my decision. So just hear me out for 1 second. If I even just bought, like, well, let's say one Bitcoin for when it was at $60,000-$70,000.
Yeah, I did.
I'd be up what 30K. I'm kind of getting that anyway, right? Like, I'm just doing it a different way, and I'm not tied into Bitcoin per se. I mean, how much money could you bring in just selling puts on Riot, like you were just showing?
And that's the thing, because I sold I hear you. I sold 1.7 Bitcoins right here. Bought 10, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, and all the way right here. 1.73 Bitcoin at 131 grand at 75,000. So it's like, oh my God, you can have another 30, 35 grand, whatever it is, right? And I'm like, okay, cool. But I feel like I'm making that anyway, selling cash secured puts on Riot or Soxl or whatever. And I don't have to deal with those fluctuations of owning shares, because what I am still trying to do, and I announced it on the channel 6, 7, 8 months ago, probably a year ago. It's like, I don't know why the hell I just don't get into cash and go make $250,000 a month selling cash secured puts and calling life good. So I've still been trying to build towards that, because I mean, dude, nothing's changed on the wheel tracker, dude. I make more money doing it. And I look over here and I'm like, dude, there's a lot of share ownership over here. So I'm like, God, dude, like what would it look like? And I know, like, over here, let me look at the trades. So here's about 600 or so, 500 and some change in trades. These would easily go into cash at any time. There's no emotional attachment whatsoever. But then over here on the 8, there is a little bit more of an attachment there. But I mean, dude, like SoFi, that's a lot of money. Now, granted, the shares are appreciating, so it's fantastic, right? But what's that drawdown going to look like if SoFi, goes up to like 25, 35, and then comes all the way back down to like 16, 17? Like, I'm still going to be dealing with some really big decisions. Am I going to really want to ride that shit down? Because I didn't feel that way before the portfolio got this big. But now that I have some gains, some bigger gains that I hadn't even anticipated on the front end, I don't want to be the guy that used to have the $12 million portfolio on Robinhood. Does that make sense or no?
Actually,
Like, I don't want to have a drawdown. So I guess I'm very David Jaffe now from the standpoint. Oh shit, man! I don't know. Owning shares maybe isn't that capital efficient. I'm just saying that the radio station is changing a little bit because there is a level of emotion that you deal with as you see the portfolio growing and growing and growing. You're like, okay, cool, but now I'm playing for keeps, if that makes sense. But I still want to maintain some level of aggression. But I feel like the only way for me to realistically do that is to sell cash secured puts because that's my comfort zone. And it's like, I mean, am I really going to let the SoFi position get to like $3.5 million? Like, I mean, how it's going to be like the fat kid on the seesaw. I don't know,
yeah,
man. I'm looking for guidance here.
like,
Here, what's Wheelers, bro? This isn't Wheeler. This is Wheelers. I don't have the answers to the test right now. So, because I don't know if y'all have known this or not about me. I haven't been here before. I was real comfortable in the 2, 3, 4, 5 range, dude. I was popping, dude. I had it figured out. Now life got a little complicated. So I was like, well, shit, I don't really have to do a whole lot to make a lot. You know what I mean? Like it's a different game a little bit. I mean, maybe it's the same game, but I play it a little different.
this is like, to me, like a perfect swing trade. Like if I were you, I would pretend as if I was swing trading this, and actually just looking at the SoFi chart, it's like a perfect take profit. So like you're up to like 70, over 70, like 76 RSI, and it's starting to like lose momentum a little bit. So if I was swing trading SoFi, I would have gotten into it on that 520 cross, which was at 725. And that 520 cross, which I've talked about before on your channel, is still not crossed back beneath. So your 20 moving average is at 1450. So your first take profit, which would be like maybe 30, 33%, so sell a third now, not the shares. We're talking about like whatever contracts you're going to cut. Sell a third now, and then sell a third if that 5 crosses back beneath the 20. Which is not there yet. So that's what I would do if I was swing trading it, which you kind of are swing trading it.
Yeah. Well, I have this goal to make $10 million on SoFi.
So you gotta let it run.
I'm already at 6.5. So it's just like, there's still a lot more money than I've ever made before on one ticker. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm like, is 10 really necessary? I'm just saying. But then I'm like, dude, it's SoFi really, I feel like it's just kind of getting started though. So I'm like, what if my goal at 10 could really end up being 15 or 20? Because that's like really, you're talking about life-changing money. I mean, it's already been life-altering money, but I'm talking about life-changing money. If I could like ride this thing up somehow, like pretend like it's my day one with SoFi and not day from like IPOE days. It's just one of those things, dude. But it gets tougher, man. It gets tougher. And I know like one guy's calling me a big baby, but be up $6.5 million and talk to me, player. It's different for me because I'm not. This is all new to me. And it's just, it's tough, man. And I think like Riot has just been a money printer for me. at these levels. I feel like I'm about to lose it though, because if it goes up over 15, 16, I'm not going to be as comfortable selling cash secured puts. So now I'm like, oh shit, I got to go find my next money printer as far as cash secured puts go.
That's the problem I'm having right now.
I just, that's why I do all these inexperienced wheelers. They want everything to fucking moon. I'm like, why? Now you got to go work again. I've been going to the same cotton field and picking cotton, bro. The field, like I walk it and walk it. I show up the next day and it's all there full of cotton. You fill up your bag, you go home. And now I'm like, shit, all the fields look empty. I don't know where to go anymore. It's I got to expand my watch list. The problem with that game is there's not as much conviction over there.
Yep.
And that's why I'm so thankful that I own shares. Because these wheelers that act like they got an STD, a stock transmitted disease, when they own shares, I'm like, well, cool. How are you making money now? Like I'm not as comfortable cash grabbing when I feel like prices are so inflated. Is what I'm saying. So I want Riot. Jason Less is in watch and board right now, but I don't want Riot to move to $20 right now. Like, can y'all do a share offering, a scare or something? Like, do me a solid with some dilution, bro. like do anything to keep this shit at like 10 or 11 bucks. That's money printer station for me at those levels. I'm just saying, dude, you'll start looking at things differently. I know there's a lot of you right now that can't relate to what the hell I'm saying, but have a couple of big winners. Like Dallas, I'd like for you to spend a little bit of time because I know this is new to you. But you're less than one double away from being a millionaire on paper. Or you might even be a millionaire on paper if you had real estate. But I'm talking about a portfolio millionaire. Do you feel a little bit? Do you feel like it's a little more real right now than when you were like grinding it up at like 50 and 60,000?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's something I've been thinking about because I think in the next 5 months that could happen. And so I have to make sure I'm ready emotionally to take those chips off the table. Because I mean, my crypto portfolio is right at 300,000. The stock portfolio is right around there as well. And so, all of the coins I'm positioned in are not in Bitcoin or Ethereum. They're in smaller coins. And we've seen an XRP has gone up 400% like in a week, in a couple of days. I haven't followed it too much because I'm not in XRP, but I'm in, $1 billion coins, $1 billion market caps, which for them to go from 1 to 10 billion is nothing. If Bitcoin goes to anywhere near like 130 to 150 next year, those altcoins are gonna 10, 20x easily. And so it's been difficult for me because selling so much more difficult. So having to realize those wins and be disciplined and not move up your price targets, that's the real key. Is like you got to set your price targets in the bear market, decide when you're going to sell when you're not emotionally running on on purely emotion. Because when Bitcoin gets to 120, people are going to say it's going to go to 150. And then if it gets to 150, then it's got to go to 200. And for me, I'm hoping to take my chips off the table way early. Like I really hope I sell way too early, because if that actually happens, then that reality could be coming for me in only a few months. And it's like that saying is true. Like it could take you 10 years to get to 100,000, and then only a few more to get to 1 million. So it's and I've already told myself when I lock in that win, I'm not putting any of that cash to work until we get another stock market correction. Actually more like a crash. I'm going to be waiting for like a 25% drawdown, which I think is going to come in 2026. So yeah, it's just a matter of like setting your goals when the emotion is not very high, and then just making sure you're disciplined. Like I know you have a physical journal. I don't have a physical journal, but I definitely have like, prayed about everything and like really asked God to like help me make good decisions and stay away from like fear and greed will kill you, Even Kramer says that like bulls make money, bears make money, and pigs get slaughtered. So at some point you have to like take the chips off the table. So yeah, I've been preparing for that, and it's been stressful, man. Because when you have that amount of money on the table, like my portfolio to yours is not a comparison, but mine compared now to only like a year ago is up a lot. So you have to learn how to handle like each level you move up, you got to learn how to handle that. I was actually thinking about a good comparison for this. I know you used to power lift, and it's like sometimes when you power lift or you're trying to make like a new max, like you don't even actually bench the weight or squat the weight. You literally just pull the weight off of the bar in order to let your body feel what that weight feels like.
Stop.
Yeah. You'll see it, and you just want your body to feel that weight. And it's the same thing in your portfolio. Like you just got to feel what that portfolio feels like for a little bit, because I'm not going to know how many contracts to sell, right? If I have $1 million portfolio, I've never sold more than 2 contracts, on a big company as far as, cash secured puts and stuff like that. So I'm not going to go right to selling 20 contracts. I need to feel the emotions of 3 contracts and then 4 contracts. Because
it's crazy to sell. I mean, yeah, they did $1.5 million cash secured put today, right? Just like I never done that shit before. Like so, and it didn't even faze me when I was doing it. I was just like, okay, cool, I'm making 180. What am I gonna do with that money? Well, I'll use that to exercise, PayPal, whatever. Like I just started thinking about it, and it's just so the mind changes a little bit on how you approach things because you're dealing with larger sums of money. So yes, it's like I sell put, sell cost, collect premium, roll when it makes dollars and cents. None of that has changed. But there is something that has been added to the matrix, and it's like, hey, don't be a fucking idiot. Make sure that we're preserving capital as well. Because you don't have to play that crazy anymore because 15% a year is a shitload of money now.
Yeah.
I'm just doing it's just math, right? So I mean, 15% a year is a better year than I'd ever had until 2 years ago. So it's like, oh shit, man! But I still want to make 25. So, but what is that? Stanley, what's his name? Stanley Druckenmiller? Is that? Am I saying it right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
30% for 30 years, right? That's the record. So he was able to stay focused and to do that. So guess who I've been studying here lately? Like I'm trying to go out there and find interviews, and how did he just stay the course? Stay the course. How did he just stay the course? Versus, I feel like I've been able to stay the course even now because I hear I'm just talking like I'm troubled, but look at the actions. I've been staying the course, right? And I'm like, it's like playing a tournament in poker. Nothing matters, or playing poker. You have the chips. Nothing matters until you go to the pay window. So that's kind of the way that I've been playing the portfolio, but there's definitely an element of emotion that I've never had to deal with before, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Something similar for me that I've been kind of practicing. It has not so much to do with the size of the account, but we've talked about how I put money aside and I'm practicing collecting premiums, withdrawing it from the account. And then, I'm not using that money right now, but I'm just taking it and putting it into a different account. And what I'm doing is just practicing. What if I had to live off of this money?
Sure.
Because it's different. It's different. Like, I want to stop working. Well, I have a certain standard of living that I would need to maintain. So, what is it like to take that money out of the account, but then still try to grow that account?
Yeah.
And put some aside for taxes and this, that. So it's just you have to kind of just train yourself for the next stage of what you're trying to do. And you can't just kind of wing it and figure it out in one day. You kind of got to practice it. So like Dallas, you're thinking of it the right way. I mean, at some point your account's going to be big enough where you go and sell 5 cash secured puts on Tesla, and you'll get used to it because your skills that you've developed are already there. It's just the confidence of dealing with it at that point, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know I also need to get better on like truly wheeling for income at some point, because right now I'm picking and choosing real sniper like. But if you're relying on it for cash flow, you really have to kind of always have positions on as far as options, because right now I'm producing, to be completely honest, I haven't even tracked, like I'm doing so few trades. I'm so behind on all my credits and debits. I'm not even logging them anymore because it's so few.
Yeah.
I kind of just taken the calls off of Tesla, let those kind of go a little bit. I got my snow leaps. I'm kind of playing those, but like I really haven't been selling too many options because it hasn't been my main focus. And I'm really more worried about entering a cash secured put and then having that collateral locked up if it went against me, when that's not where my conviction is for the next few months. So eventually that conviction will have to become more locked in on truly wheeling for cash flow, because I just haven't done that in a long time.
Yeah, man, it's one of those things, and I think that's why investing is so personal, right? It's like Mr. Premium said, we're the CEOs of our portfolios, but it's like most men are the CEOs of their house, right? And then they have like the CFO, that's the wife. She handles, a lot of them like pay the bills and stuff. So you have to just like figure out, okay, this is my hamburger stand. These are my menu items, and this is the way that I have to run and operate the hamburger stand for our lifestyles, goals, objectives, etc. So I don't think that that's ever going to change for me. I think that I always will maintain the level of aggression, but at the same time, the part that I'm learning is, okay, well, how do you rebalance the portfolio? Let's say I'm able to stick it out with Sofi with such a large position and it runs to 25 or 30 bucks. Like, y'all know what the portfolio looks like at that point? It's kind of crazy. I'm just, you know what I mean? So I've been running some models, and it's like, how do you do it? How do you do it? Because at the end of the day, one of the hardest things for me to do, and I think Dallas alluded to it, and I don't know, you've probably been in this position as well, Bill, is it's so much easier to get into a position than to get out of a position. It's so hard to sell and lock in profits because you feel like a traitor, you feel disloyal, you feel it's like to the community, right? Like when I sell half of my SoFi position, I'm gonna feel a little bit like ashamed as well. It's kind of weird. Like even when I closed the 500 long calls at 10, what people didn't realize is that I had just bought the 500 long calls at 15. So in actuality, it was a roll in 2 different parts. But nobody caught on to that. But I got a lot of egg on my face for closing the ones at 10. And I'm like, dude, go look at the timeline, bro. It's like 3 or 4 or 5 days before that I bought the 15s. So I was just trying to get some of my money back. You know what I mean? So it's like, instead of having 1,000 at 10, now I had 500 at 10 and 500 at 15. I'm like, well, let's really go ham and lotto with this thing, so to speak.
I think you just got to get over that personally, though. Like, I mean, look, I how long have I been talking about Palantir and how bullish I am? I got the hat on every week. I sold a lot of my Palantir. I got out of the situation where like I was struggling. Like I wasn't up really that far underwater with my covered calls, but I had to push them out so much that I just closed out the entire position. I just locked in a huge gain, and I said, okay, now I'm going to sell cash secured puts. I still like the company long term, but I think it's overvalued right now. So I'm just going to sell cash secured puts until I get assigned at a price that I want, and I'm okay with that. I still have shares in some accounts, but I I'm not going to let anyone make me feel bad about, like I'm not part of the community because, I sold some Palantir shares. I don't give a shit. So I think you just got to get over it,
Yeah, that's a good point, Bill, because you know what? I don't feel guilty at all. I even talked to Amit offline, and he's like, "Bro, that was an amazing move." Like, and Amit's like, Mr. Palantir. But when I sold these freaking shares, but I bought these calls to stay in the game, and now I'm babysitting these cover calls over here at 69. I mean, my goodness, dude, like those are even underwater now a little bit. This is Palantir is just ridiculous. I feel so much better about it immediately because I locked in all of that money and I had like my mind was free because these cover calls had become such a burden to me. Like they had become such a burden. And the Lowe's bucket, baby doll. Just tell him to go get him. Sorry, we have my buddy here who's putting Christmas lights on. Anyway, so I guess that's the thing about being a transparent channel is you make friends with people on the chat and stuff, and there is a level of like influence that may or may not happen either subconsciously or whatever. And I guess that's where like on SoFi Weekly, they don't have any transparency or anything. We don't know what Tanner holds, etc. And Tevis alluded to it. Dallas and I talked about it a little bit offline that he doesn't want to have any of that stuff because he doesn't want to be susceptible to that type of influence. But I've already put myself out there going on 3 years now. So it is what it is. I rely on the chat to help me navigate the waters the way that I navigate for them, especially on our FaceTime. So it is what it is, man. It is what it is. I'm certainly not perfect at this game. I do think that I'm pretty good at it, and I'm going to continue to try to get better at it. But I have to, what helps me is the hedge fund. Because it's so much easier to trade the fund because it's other people's money. I know it's so weird, but it's almost like you don't have a conscience. You're just playing the numbers and there's no emotion. You're just calling in the order or whatever, and you're trying to hit your metrics so you can get paid. So I've been trying to like look at the portfolio like the fund, and it's starting to like help me a little bit more to maintain that level of aggression versus like, oh, this is the nest egg and we got to hold on to it. And, like fuck all that, because it's like, I'm still playing to win versus like playing not to lose. Like, it's kind of like, when you got the lead in the football game and you stop doing some of the things that got you that lead. And then before you know it, you're behind. I don't want to fall into that situation. Like, how many times have we seen that game where the basketball team's like way ahead or the football team's way ahead, and then it's a close game at the end, but the team that was ahead, they kind of started playing a little bit different. Like, they stopped doing all of the things that got them that big ass lead to begin with. So I don't want to do that. But I'm aware that it kind of happens, whether subconsciously or inadvertently, it happens a little bit because you do get kind of excited about seeing that what's it called? The net liquidation value or whatever, like your total take your ball and go home money.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, dude, I want to have this conversation because I know that you deal with it, Bill, because of, your situation and what you deal with and where you come from. But Dallas, I know that this is like really, really new to you right now, and you're on the verge because you're like less than a double of way to where it's like, shit, I never thought I was going to be here. Like, you're going to have that moment for like a week or two. You're going to be like walking in the clouds. But it's just, I just want to make sure that you're able to keep your feet on the ground because, you can't stop doing the things that got you that nest egg to begin with.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, none of that money. I'm just going to keep. The main thing I'm enjoying is, or that I feel I will enjoy, is that prior to the portfolio moving well the past few months, I was considering like I truly feel the market's getting overvalued in the next. Like, I don't know how much longer we can keep up like this, and I just want to be prepared. Like, I just want to be prepared for the next big downturn, and because you just look at everything. I mean, housing is so unaffordable right now. The stock market's done like back-to-back years of 20%. Like I don't see how much we can. I mean, it could go a little bit more. I mean, but I'd rather be prepared for like to take advantage of the next big downturn, because the people that bought Meta when it was in the $80, like they're the ones walking on cloud nine right now, because it's not gonna go anywhere near that in the next downturn, I don't think. So I want to be prepared, not care about selling options, not care about anything, but like having a stack of cash to deploy in the next big opportunity. You know what I mean? Because that's when you can get like safe returns on your account in easy stocks, like now we're like, oh, I hope Amazon pulls back 10% so I can get in. And it's like, dude, Amazon dropped like 60%, and it's like, those are the moments I want to wait for now. And also to get into some true like swing trading for income, like I would have bought some Tesla shares down there in the 130s, and then let some go at 200, let some more go at 300, as opposed to just riding these waves and never taking profit, like I'm definitely not going to let that happen, because the market gives us so many opportunities. Even in a downturn, you could take advantage of that volatility. And so, that's going to be my main focus, is just cashing up, man, because there's going to be a good opportunity in the next 5 years. And that'll be like an opportunity to take advantage of everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Did I took a page? I took a suggestion that you said to heart on a couple of wheelers ago, like things that I could introduce to the channel, and swing trading was one of them. So I've done that successfully on a few tickers now, and I've got 4 big swing trades on. I mean, for me, they're big. So I've got 30,000 shares of Neo. I had 50,000, but I sold 2,000 of them, or 20,000 of them, for like a $4,000 profit yesterday. And I have the swing trade on Marathon. I'm up 14.5 on the shares right now. BABA, I'm down 2,700 on those, and I'm up 1954 on Pfizer. But I'm also selling covered calls against all of these shares, and I'm running the strangle on Marathon, because I think that this one could potentially, like, I could potentially have it on the books, throw this Bitcoin run, if you will. And I picked up the 5,000 shares yesterday, already up 14.6 on those. I got the covered calls not long from now, $30. So those would get challenged, whatever. But I also made money over here on the $22 puts. I picked up like $12,000 in premiums, dude, on top of the money that I'm slated to make. You can see it right there, 67.50 and 5,900. On top of the money that I'm slated to make, right, $4.75 on 5,000 shares. And all of that could happen within like 10 to 12 days. So those are the types of things that I've been looking for in the market, is like, how can I put a couple 100,000 to work and make a quick 20, 30, 40 grand and get out and get back into cash? So like, I'm looking for those types of cash grabs too, versus just playing the cash secure put game. But if there's like an opportunity that presents itself, like Marathon, where I can play both sides, like via the strangle, the way that I did on that one, I'm taking that opportunity. And then I did it on Pfizer. I overstayed my welcome a little bit on Pfizer, because I could have already had these shares called away at 25.50, and it's since dipped back below that, because I chose to roll to $26 because I wanted to try to get more out of the capital appreciation, and maybe even position myself for the ex-dividend date and bring in a little bit more money that way. So we'll see if that ends up working out or not, because if not, I could have already freed up that money, and I could have maybe done Marathon at 10,000 shares versus 5,000. So, that's one that I'm kind of like, the attachment that I get to shares kind of might potentially backfire on me. I'm not sure. I'm not sure yet on that one. But at the same time, I feel like with Pfizer, the floor is here and the ceiling could be like up here. So I do like that asymmetrical risk with Pfizer at these levels, even though I'm not a real big fan of the company.
You know what's helped me out with that, TJ, is and I've said it many times, a very select few of tickers that I consider investments, and then the rest is a pure wheel. And I know you said you could have got rid of it, and every now and then you're going to try to eke a little bit more out. But if you really don't have any sort of conviction and you already like that, maybe those are the ones you just take the win on. Was it really worth trying to go to 26 versus 25.50 at that point? Like, I don't know. Maybe those are the ones that you don't have any real strong conviction in, that you just kind of just let them get taken away and truly wheel.
Yeah, I know for sure, dude. And I don't have any conviction on Pfizer. I feel like I should, because I mean, is it really going anywhere? Probably not. But I mean, I feel like honestly, the Intel money, because they're similar price points, I'd probably be sleeping better at night if all that Intel money was over there on Pfizer. But I just don't like. It's my biases towards the company that hurt me there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's asking about that Soxl trade. Let me see if I can find it.
I think it's pretty funny, TJ, that you find it easier to manage other people's money. I would also be curious what is there a difference in the returns? Because I am not like fully. My parents allocated a percentage of their like 401k, and they're like, hey, we're going to give you this little sliver and let you manage it, to see how you do. And I'm like so much more conservative, and I use
Really? I have no conscience, dude. I could have been like a serial killer in a previous life, I think.
But here's the thing. That portfolio has outperformed my portfolio because like I didn't mess around with trying to limit any upside or whatever. So when Sofi was at like 7, I bought some shares and I bought some leaps for them. And every time I looked at selling cover calls, I'm like, nah, it's not really worth it. It's not. And like now the leaps are up like 300%. The shares are up, from $7. And I bought them some Shopify. I bought them some Tsll. Bought them some Celsius. That's the only thing that's down is Celsius, as well as some Bitcoin and Ethereum. And it's like my own portfolio is kind of like the test portfolio, where it's like, okay, Tesla's come down to like, when it was down, come down to like $200. It's like, all right, I feel good enough to buy some shares here, but it might go to like 190. So I'm going to wait for 190 for them, and sometimes it wouldn't get there, and then I wouldn't be able to purchase shares for them. But other times I would get a better deal in their portfolio than I did in my own portfolio, because I didn't really, I was being more conservative. So it's funny, like her portfolio is up 48% this year. And it's like, I've not paid any attention to that portfolio. Yeah. It's more of that set and forget it, buy the dip type of thing. And my portfolio, which I look at 10 times a day, trying to look at like, different things, exploring my options, like I say. And like, I don't even know what I'm up year to date, because I've been taking so much money from the stock portfolio and moving it into crypto. Schwab doesn't seem to calculate like the actual return. So I have no idea like what I'm actually up, but I have a feeling not doing as well as they are, which is pretty funny. So my question, I would be interested to know if your hedge fund returns are less, more, or equal to your personal returns based on the differences in how you manage them.
So the hedge fund is up 10% more than the personal this year.
Okay. And you feel that you're a little bit more risky with their money?
I feel like I did everything the exact same thing, except there was more money over there, and I bought Neo at like 360, 370. And I sold it when it went up to like $5 or $6 or whatever the hell it was. Like I didn't have a covered call on it because I just totally forgot. And I looked up one day and Neo had kind of like gone to the moon a little bit, and I locked in a massive profit on, I think it was like 300,000 or 400,000 shares. I have to look. So that tilted the scales there, just because of one trade that I kind of like got lucky on, if that makes sense.
Well, the other thing too, Dallas, is it's true. Let's say you didn't have covered calls in your mom's portfolio. If the market goes up, what you're saying is true. If the market goes sideways or down, you're going to be happy that you had those covered calls on. So it's just it could be the flip, just depending on what the actual market was doing, if that makes
that's
sense.
true. That's a good point.
But it's even with this. In 2022, this is when all of these profits were made, right? Or that's when they were set up. And now we're realizing. What are you looking at today? Like, what's something that you're like, man, the next time you get punched in the mouth, I want to be there armed, ready, and dangerous to take advantage of it. Like, what's the one stock that you're like, you're kind of pissed off about? So let's talk a little bit about like revenge trading, because we all do it to a certain extent. So what's that one ticker that you're kind of stalking and you're like, if I have an opportunity to make, 50, 60, 100 grand off this thing, what am I going to do? Which one am I looking at?
I mean, for me, it's probably Meta. It's 10% of my stock portfolio, so I got in, but not with any good size to it. Also, during I know I sound like a broken record, but during the crypto winter, I didn't really understand proper positioning. Like there's a lot of charts and like different metrics on chain that you can look at to sort of give you an idea. Like I was just kind of DCAing on the way down really lightly, as opposed to like going heavier. I kind of got it backwards. Like I did like 50. When we're talking about bullets, you normally do like 25, 25, 25, 50. And I did like 50, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. Like my DCAs got smaller as Bitcoin and altcoins went down.
Oh, I can see.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I kind of had it backwards, which was partially fear, partially just it's still a speculative asset at this point. But I feel that this cycle has brought in institutional money and sovereign wealth funds and 401k buying, and like everyone's sort of in tune with it. So I feel that next cycle, when we go into that bear market, probably in back later portions of 2025 into 2026, I'll have much more awareness as to like, okay, it's time to really, go heavier here, as opposed to like making my buys a little bit smaller. So if we have been buying Bitcoin at 16, 15, 20, we would already be sitting on like, a 7x. So it wouldn't be like, oh man, I'm only getting like a double if I get in here. And so it'd be a lot more comfortable, and there wouldn't be so much anxiety feeling like I need to be really accurate in selling the top. When you have such a margin, you can kind of let that go even more. And even though you run the risk of it coming down, the longer you hold that position, you're up so much where the downturn's not as meaningful. So that's kind of my regret on that.
I hear you. Bill, any last words? Because I got to go to help my buddy do the last row of the Christmas lights. We got him up there on the roof and ladders, and it's dark out here.
I don't have a revenge trade I want to do right now. But maybe at some point, I've heard the stock mentioned quite a bit recently, and I've been following it for probably close to a year, and I want to shout out
Octo or something, or no?
Nope. Okay. I want to shout out the boring investor, Bob. I actually restarted researching this company just because it was on, like he had a small position in it on his account one time. Grab.
I used to be in that one.
Yeah, I have like 1,000 shares. It's one of those things. I just bought some shares, and now I'm trying to.
I think it's like $4 or $5, and I want to say Chris Patel might be on it. I think Amit's on it, so there's gonna be a lot of coverage.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited for that. I just purchased 1,000 shares, so it would force me to actually track it. It's not too much money, but I'm interested in it. The premiums aren't great, but they're okay. I can manufacture the win. But it's just the price point right now is just so good that and they, I know they have very little debt, a lot of cash on the books. So it's something that, it piqued my attention. So at some point I'd like to maybe talk about that a little bit more. I'm Dallas. I don't know if you follow it, but I'd like your input.
I heard Garcia talking about it a couple of videos ago. That's the only thing I've heard about it. But I know, dude, I really think Wall Street is going to wake up to the fact that retail is becoming smarter than they think. I mean, you look at like Palantir and Sofi and like some of these retail's been getting into
way earlier,
like $7, and then just now is Wall Street starting to pay attention. So, man, there's something to be said for grab.
Well, I think there's also a lot of the rules that a lot of funds have that they won't touch anything that's gap profit, that isn't gap profitable and all of that stuff. So we have advantages that, we have stipulations that we're able to make. We're the CEOs, where they have to answer to people, they have to answer to investors. Their perspectives say certain things, so they have to adhere to those little standards that they put out there. So they have more limitations, dude. They have more limitations, but they're also the market makers. They're the needle movers, right?
Yeah.
So that's why whenever they get in, they're late to the party. And that's why a Palantir can run the way that it runs, because now there's a lot of new money, big money in Palantir, and it's all new to them because it's their price discovery, right? And we're over here like, oh shit, this balloon's inflated and all this other stuff, because we've been in it. I've been in it since the DPO. And so, yeah, man, I don't know that that's going to change anytime soon, because these people that are managing millions, billions of dollars, they have to answer to people, and they can't be going out there and going fucking ham on SoFi when shit isn't looking too good. They can't be going ham on fucking Palantir when the fucking CEOs got a bad haircut, acting like a 12-year-old kid with a tantrum, banging the fucking table on a conference call. I'm just saying, these things happen. These things happen. So you gotta, it's real easy to be like, oh, look where Palantir is at. But I'm just saying, he claimed 30%. I think he came in at like 14% one time. So it just took, took a while for Palantir to get there. And it's now might just started, dude, who knows? So I think that, I don't know that there'll be real big changes in Wall Street, Dallas, but I think that what will continue to change is that there's going to be a lot of wealthier retail investors that become the mainstream media, if you will, of finance versus CNBC, kind of like a la Meet Kevin's. I think that there's going to be a lot of Meet Kevin's finance. The Jeremy, what's Jeremy? Jeremy, the guy that bought the Ferrari. I think there's going to be a lot of that kind of stuff moving up if they have any type of level of transparency attached to them. Like, on the wheeling side, obviously we have invested with Henry. He's probably the biggest wheeler as far as YouTube goes, right? Algorithm wise. So I think that those people will get their little 15 minutes under the sun or whatever the hell it's called, if they keep, doing the right things. Yeah, thank you, Financial Jeremy.
By the way, we just caught the most significant price in Bitcoin history live on total accident. That's incredible. 100K is the most significant price in Bitcoin's history. It's been talked about for forever. And we can look back in 20 years from now when Bitcoin's at like 10 million and say,
now it's on live with the Wheeler brothers, dude. How cool is that?
Yeah, dude. And a lot of people, I've been watching like a lot of crypto, all the big crypto channels have been constantly going live, like whenever it gets close, and they keep trying to catch it live. And then 3 wheeling schmucks caught it on accident.
So we'll see.
And none of us know much about crypto.
So I have an idea for Riot Weekly or bi-weekly. Like there's SoFi Weekly, Palantir Hymns, and Rocket Labs. Those are the ones that I know. There's Tesla Daily. The dude Farzad and the Redlit guy. So my spin on Riot, and I'm Tevis is helping me with it, but I'm hoping that one of you guys could help me, if not both of you. Is I want to do an episode on Riot because I'm really digging into the company. Jason's real cool fucking dude, and he'll come on the channel eventually and help us out and answer the questions and all that stuff, which is really, really helpful. Hold on. Oh. My baby's always so generous. I love that, but I kind of hate that about her at times because she likes to spend my money more than hers, but she has more money than me. Okay, I'm done rambling. So, she's real generous with my money. How's that? No, we have my buddy. She just wants me to give him money. I'm like, dude, he's my buddy. Like, I got it. We're good. I'll cash out him a lot more, and he thinks it's coming his way. Anyway, here's the thing. None of these channels that cover these said stocks show you how to actually make money with the stock. They cover it like it's like an episode of CNBC or Mad Money or something like that. I want to come at it with, this is how we're making money with Riot for the next 2 weeks. Like, this is how I'm playing it. If this is your day 1 or this is your day 1,000, these are the trades that are on. This is why they're on, etc. This is what's going on with the company. This is how I'm playing it. These are the technicals, etc. To like really show them how to take a ticker and manufacture the win. And I think that could be real fun, and then get into the weeds with the company, like understanding exahash rate and all this other crazy shit and joules and all this. Like, we're going to go to chemistry class up in this son of a gun. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to have to really understand, why is it that y'all have all of these damn facilities that y'all came in at 500 Bitcoin, and Marathon looks like they're doing it out of a fucking storage unit, and they came in at 900 Bitcoin. Like, riddle me this shit. Like, I want to learn this kind of stuff. But I also want to spend, so that'll be like half the episode, like getting current on the news and the events and what's going on with Riot. And then it can be Riot, Marathon, CleanSpark, because those are the 3 that I wheel. And I want to really go over, like, these are why I have those trades on. And when I'm looking to exit and all that stuff, like, really show people how to make money, but just very specifically on a couple of tickers. And I think it could catch on, but I need help, because I'll need help with like some of the info. I can obviously cover my trades, but you guys could obviously help. Like, well, this is how I would trade it, to add other wrinkles and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I think Dallas would probably be willing to hop on and do that. I do cash secured puts on these companies, so it would benefit me anyway. But I just want to say one thing about the miners that I think I was spot on. I didn't realize just how correct I was, but I was spot on about this. I think the best way to analyze them, if you just compare one versus the other, when you say, cash versus debt, when you're looking at companies, at one point I said, well, I think what you need to do is your cash plus your HODL versus your debt. And that's coming around to be more and more true when you look at what Marathon's doing. It's if they're taking on debt to buy Bitcoin, and the fluctuations in that, the value of that HODL over time, that'll be a really good comparison versus other miners to see if it's working out for them. So I think that's something that we should really, really track.
Yeah, no, and I'm all down for it, but I do want to spend at least half of the segment on, okay, cool. We learned everything that we're learning about this company. That's all great. So we're all going to go to Riot and Corsicana, and they're going to give us like a fucking exam on the miners. We should all get A's, right? That's cool. But can we make money off the ticker? Yes or no? That's what we're really here for at the end of the day. Because I feel like that's missing on all the weekly shows.
Yes.
It's cool. Tell me how to fucking make money. Because I just invested an hour of my time listening to y'all fuckers ramble. Tell me how to make money off the stock. That's why we're all really here at the end of the day. You're lying if you're telling me that that's not why you're here. We're not here for entertainment from that aspect. We're here because, is this a buy, hold, or a sell? Like, what are we doing here? Like, what are we doing right here, right now at the end of the day? But anyway, I hope he's not drinking in my port. He's got to drive home. I got to get rocking, but let me know if y'all can help me with that. I was thinking that Wheelers would be an ideal place to do it. Maybe every other week we feature Riot. And it could be CleanSpark. It could be kind of like the crypto segment, if you will, but heavily featured on Riot because that's my bigger position. But you know, I am building I have 200 cash secure puts on CleanSpark that I don't talk about right now, and I have this little position that kind of wishing it would be 50,000 shares on a fucking marathon the way this thing's running. But it's just I knew this about marathon. I've been in it before. You know, but the market loves marathon, bro. They love it. They can't get enough of that shit. And it's like a mini micro strategy right now. So if y'all could do a little bit of research on this convertible bond thing, you know, here the infinite money glitch. Like, there's like little shit that's catching on with this whole thing. But I do have reservations on the whole convertible thing, and I've asked several people over and over and over and over again. How's MicroStrategy going to make money if they're never going to sell the Bitcoin? So it's like you have a lot of money. You're trying to be this Bitcoin treasurer. I'm just saying, like, if nobody's been able to give me the answer to that question, and I'm acting like Mr. Wonderful, like, show me the money though. Like, show me how that works.
I'm with you, and we can end on this. But I listened to Michael Saylor talking about how he said a whole lot without saying anything. I still don't understand how he's going to make money off of his Bitcoin. Maybe he's right. I mean, maybe there's like some sort of glitch out there like that. Like, I'm just completely not understanding. But at the end of the day, you still need to bring money in to fund your business. So
no, it's going to dilute. Yeah, I don't know. I got to run though. TJ the Will Joe signing off. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Y'all can do me a favor and smash like, subscribe, go to Dallas's page as well. And then we're going to start streaming these on Dallas's channel also, because I want them to get the 4,000 hours, because it's a big ask that they do to try to get you monetized. So we need to get them to 1,000 subscribers, and then we got to get them 4,000 hours. So we're going to do wheelers on his channel a few times to try to get him that run time on the watch time. And, you know, so if you guys could help out with that, that'd be great. And it's exploring my options, right, Dallas?
Yep.
Anyway, appreciate you guys. TJ the Will Deal signing off with Bill White. Dallas, Matthew, as always, may your sky stay blue, stock screen. Peace out. God bless you guys.
See you guys.
See ya.
Take care. Appreciate you guys.